If you are an LDS couple who are waiting to experience sexual intimacy until after your wedding day, these next 2 weeks are for you. This is probably the biggest section of the little workbook because there's a lot to cover. And if you do not live in a household where these conversations are readily taking place, I got you covered. This is something I was really curious to know and understand before I got married. I wanted to make sure that I was a good wife and that I had the basics understood before I took that next step. And thankfully, I was raised in a home where my parents were very open, honest, and forthcoming about sexuality. And the most important message I want you to take from this first little discussion is that sexuality is divine. Sex is not bad. It is not dirty. My parents told me it is something so good, it's worth waiting for. It's worth waiting for being with the right person who you trust and love. And it's a wonderful gift. It's wonderful for both of you. It's important that each of you learn to figure out each of your own bodies and figure out and think about what you might like, what you might be uncomfortable with, and be willing to communicate that with each other. Couples who have happy sexual lives are committed to each other, kind to each other, and talk about their sexuality with each other frequently and comfortably and casually. They've decided to make it a topic like it's their favorite shared hobby. Like if you were talking about, hey, we're going to take up tennis as a couple. You talk about, okay, what kind of gear do we want? What kind of, how frequently do we want to practice? Where do we want to learn about how to be better tennis players? Make it like that. Your favorite shared hobby that you're both committed to learning about personally and learning about what you want to share with each other so that you can both improve and enjoy it together. Your favorite shared hobby. Just like with any new skill that you have not developed yet, it's going to take some time, some study, and some practice to figure it out until you get good at it. The great thing about monogamous relationships and eternal relationships is that if you have a bad week or you're kind of slow to figure things out, it's fine. You have time on your side. You will get better at it the more you communicate, the more you learn about each other, and it's the fun kind of learning. So take the time to talk, to discuss, to learn, to try new things, to be open to new ideas, and to make sure that each of you feels loved and safe and never belittle each other or put each other in uncomfortable situations when it comes to this type of intimacy. This needs to be a very safe, loving space where we can truly see each other and love each other and enjoy each other. So take the time that's needed. Things evolve. You're going to be going through different work stresses. You're going to be going through moves, career changes, welcoming children into your lives in your home, lack of sleep, hormonal changes. There are so many factors that go into creating a healthy sexual intimate relationship. And if you can both just come together with a commitment to making it a priority, but also a commitment to just letting each other figure it out at your own pace in a safe and loving way, you're going to develop something that is awesome. We need to talk about two of the things that have major disruptive powers when it comes to creating a healthy sexual intimate relationship. Number one is porn. You are not going to get to this level of your relationship probably without being influenced by pornography in some way. It's just everywhere. We're soaking in it. It's in our pockets, in our phones. It follows us wherever we go. It's just the nature of the world that we live in today. The tricky thing about sexual curiosity is that people are on a spectrum. Some people didn't even care that much to think about it. Some people are super, super curious about it from a young age. Some people are able to have open, healthy conversations with their parents and family members to kind of help them develop self-mastery. And in some families, that is completely taboo, and they are left to figure out on their own. You need to be upfront and honest with each other about what your experience has been, and also upfront about where you are in your self-mastery journey. Because if you're still struggling with pornography usage and you think that's going to go away once you get married, or that getting married is going to suddenly change that behavior, that is a lie that you're telling to yourself. Also, this is not just a man issue. Men and women both struggle with pornography. It might look different, but it's a self-mastery issue, meaning you haven't developed enough self-control to be a true equal partner and show up as your best self. So if that's something that you're struggling with, you need to be very open with your partner about that. And that is a conversation you must have before you get married. You must understand where you each are when it comes to that issue. And you need to decide how you're going to work through that if it is an issue. Because that's probably the number one reason I've seen for divorce is sexual problems that stem from someone's past pornography use or current pornography use that was never disclosed before they got married. So if you think you can hide it, you can't. It's going to have a huge impact on your marriage, so you might as well start upfront and honest. If it's been an issue in the past but you've resolved it, that needs to be shared. If it's something you're currently dealing with, that definitely needs to be shared. You have to come with open eyes to that issue when it comes to your sexual health in your marriage. The next issue that will have major disruptive power in your sexual relationship is if either of you were abused and molested when you were younger. And the reason this needs to be talked about is, 1 in 3 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be abused or molested or assaulted before they reach 18. So there's a really good chance that one of you may have dealt with that or is still dealing with that. And that needs to be worked through before you get married, because it's going to impact the type of safety you need to feel to be in a committed, safe, healthy sexual relationship. And if you've gone through some trauma, you probably need to work through that with your partner and maybe even with a therapist so that you can move forward, or at least be in the process of moving forward and know the skills that you need to develop to feel loved and safe, so that you can have a healthy relationship. So that's something that definitely needs to be talked about and can have a huge implication on just your ability to fully let yourself be free and feel safe enough to enjoy that aspect of your marriage. If you haven't dealt with those traumatizing experiences, it's going to be hard to move forward. So definitely have a discussion about that and talk about if you need to reach out and get help from a professional to move forward from that. The final section before the couple pages of questions, intimacy questions in the workbook, deals with cycles we need to be aware of and patterns we need to be aware of that will affect our happiness in our sexual intimacy. So I spent a couple pages giving the details of women's monthly cycles, because that is going to impact your sexual intimacy. And men, you need to be aware of what they are, and you need to be aware of your partner's, once you're married, your partner's cycle. She needs to be aware of it too. I remember for the first several years that we were married, every month around the same time, I would just be so bugged at my husband, so annoyed. And I would always utilize the 3-day rule. Okay, if it still bugs me 3 days later, and lo and behold, it didn't bug me anymore 3 days later, but I was always wanting to pick fights at the same time. And I was like, oh, there's something happening in my cycle that's making me a little bit more grumpy at this time of the month, and maybe I need to be aware of that. And it might be useful if he's aware of that. Communicating where I'm at in my cycle with my partner has helped him know how to be a more compassionate, loving partner. I love when he would buy me my favorite sour cream and cheddar ruffles, some chocolate, and just be like, okay, just go eat some snacks and hang out in your room if you don't feel great. And he could kind of anticipate that because I was communicating it to him. There are times in the month where a woman's going to be more in the mood and times where she's just not. And understanding and knowing that is helpful. Also, ladies, there are times that your husband's kind of in a cycle too. Clearly, he does not menstruate. But maybe he goes through a cycle of stressful patterns at work, like the first of the month is always really, really busy and stressful at work. He's going to feel more exhausted and grumpy around those times. Or if it's like exam week or something. Also, men do have a hormonal cycle. It just usually is shorter than ours, within 24 hours. So be aware of your husband's moods and be sensitive and compassionate during those times as well. We need to kind of sleuth each other out and truly see each other clearly and learn how to love and support each other so that we understand the best times for making our sexual intimacy times be successful and fun for each of us. And finally, we do a deep dive into all the options for birth control. Because if you're not ready to start having babies, maybe some of you are right out of the gate. But if you're not, there are so many options, but it's really important to know what the possible side effects are, how they might impact your ability to get pregnant in the future, how they might impact your body now. Every woman's a little bit different, but there's kind of some general ways that women are affected overall with all of the options. And there are options for men too. And so just reviewing these together and having a discussion about them, what type of birth control might work best if you're not ready to start a family yet, but you would like to start one in the future, and what that needs to look like for you. I know a lot of women are on birth control before they get married to help with hormonal regulation, and that's going to have an impact on your relationship as well. So just having a frank, open conversation about those options and what you want to do and what's best for both of you and what you're both comfortable with before moving forward is just good to be on the same page about. I will share a picture of my favorite book. It's called, I gotta get it right. And it was very good. A Latter-day Saints Guide to Lovemaking by Earthly Parents. I'll put that up in a post and up on my story so you can see what it looks like. I read so many books about sexual relations to try and find the right one for my kids, that they would feel comfortable reading, that aligned with what we believe, and that just was filled with really great, good, practical information. That one, hands down, was so far above and beyond better than anything else that I read. So you get that one, or if you're a mother-in-law or a mother watching this, that's a great gift to get for your child who is getting married. And then I will also post some of the questions from the pages of discussion questions to have before your wedding night. So if you have any other questions of things that I may not have covered, please either send me a message or you can even put it down in the comments, and I'll try to get to those and share whatever I have. This was kind of a brief overview of everything that's in these several pages that just kind of need to be talked about so you can set yourself on the right path moving forward to have a really healthy, happy, intimate relationship with each other.